Welcome to part 6, the final part in this year's Hurricane Week from Force 13. So first of all, I hope you enjoyed the content this year, and I hope you're around to see Hurricane Week again next year. I'm not sure quite what the content will be yet, but I'm sure that will be decided in due course. First of all though, the Force 13 YouTube channel reached its first anniversary yesterday, when the animations of the time moved over to its own channel, Force 13, which is a dedicated channel for tropical cyclones. Since then, the amount of progress has been incredible, with over 150,000 views coming in, which is more than I ever expected, at least. So I'd personally like to thank all of those who keep viewing, commenting, subscribing, whatever, and just to tell you that there's a lot more to come. Now onto a question that I received during Hurricane Week, and it's regarding storm number 87, Katrina Victor Cindy. And it's a pretty good question, well, quite obvious one as well. Why did it have 3 names? And it might not have been explained properly in the video. Well, it formed in the Coral Sea and was named Katrina, and it eventually died as it entered Australia, and on the other side of Australia it was in the Australian region then, so it was renamed Victor as the next storm, as it regenerated into a tropical storm, and then as it entered the southwest Indian Ocean area, it became Cindy for a short period until it finally dissipated. So I hope that one clears that one up. If you have any questions, just ask in the comments, and I'll try and answer it if I can. Moving on now to one of the features on the Force 13 website. Now, back in August I launched a new feature in the interactive section where you can predict how many storms will form in the Atlantic Ocean, in the Eastern Pacific and in the Western Pacific. Of course, the competition's almost over now, with it being December the 1st and all that. We have an almost certain winner at this stage, but let's take a look at the leaderboard starting from the bottom. All these scores are correct as of today, but with the current Pacific storm BOPA out there, things may still change. So at the bottom we have 8 or 9 people who ended up with 0 points. Now this may be because didn't really get it, perhaps, I don't know, or just a little bit unlucky in the end, perhaps. But people with points, in 45th place is Alex342121 with 0.6, Jeffrey with 0.8, Darius M with 1.5, Ironman Aurora with 1.6, Darius M again with 2, Akamero 12 with 3.5, J Courier 667 with 3.5 as well, Phil with 4, Ankar with 5, Scott with 5, Juan with 5.5, Spencer B with 5.5 as well. And working our way up the top, we have Anthony, Ken twice, Akamero 12 once more, Russell J, Adrian G, GFS Noob on 2 occasions, Sam and Spencer on multiple occasions as well, Anticyclone there with 8 points, Anthony with 8.5, Darius M with 10, CES 15 Hurricanes with 10 and 10.5, then Vladimir, Spencer, Benjamin A, Swedtail, Scott, Michael S, and in the top 10, some joint positions there which will be worked out at the end of the year. We have Devon, Kiwi, Nicky, Benjamin A, That Blue Pit, Debesh 9-1, myself there in joint 3rd with Debesh 9 and Jonathan C. In 2nd place is Gordon, and in 1st place is Paul N, who is the likely winner at this stage. Well, I know him personally and decided to catch him yesterday for an interview. The winner of this year's interactive competition was Paul Nugent this year for 2012, and he's here with me right now, as you can hear. So first of all, did you ever think you would win?
Well, if I'm going to be totally serious, no, I didn't. My experience in hurricanes isn't vast.
It's very little, actually, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I did rely on a lot of your experience and advice, didn't I? So.
Well, yes, that is true, and that's a good reason that I came 5th, and might be 3rd by the time you get this. Paul predicted 22 named storms for the Atlantic, 7 hurricanes and 2 major hurricanes. In the Eastern Pacific, he named 17 named storms, 8 hurricanes and 5 major storms, and in the West Pacific, 27 named storms, 15 typhoons and 7 major typhoons of Category 3 strength or higher, and he predicted pretty early on the 30th of August, which means that he finishes, as it stands, at 23 points. This is, BOPA hasn't become a typhoon yet, it's expected to, and if that does occur, he'll probably lose a point, actually. But he'll still be leading by quite a way. Currently on 23 points, he'll probably go down to 22, but other people trying to catch him will probably drop points as well.
Can I just add something, please? I know you gave me a lot of advice and it was your experience, but I did actually pick the final figures, so I just would like to take the full credit if I can, please.
Absolutely, he did pick the final figures. I did suggest a sort of range where he could go for, and quite a broad range as well, but he went for it, and
Yes.
there you go, he's the likely winner. It would take four more storms in the Western Pacific for anyone else to have a chance of winning the competition, which hasn't happened in history in the short time period that we have left before the end of the year. And at the end of the year, I'll be sending out emails to all the people who submitted their addresses so that I can tell you how well you've done in particular. But here's Paul, the winner of the 2012 Predictor season. 2013 Predictor season starts on December the 10th. So you can put in your predictions as early as then.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say thank you for everybody taking part, because with a competition, whether you win or lose, it's always going to be in a part of something. So thank you to everyone.
So that feature is now called Predictor Season, and that will restart again for the year 2013. Entry opens on December the 10th this year, and you can predict once per month. Any other predictions during that month will overwrite the first one. Another feature under testing at the moment is Predictor Storm, where you can predict each named storm's characteristics before and during the storm's lifetime. Now it seems a lot of you out there having perhaps a little bit of trouble understanding the best approach to the predictions. Your best bet is to submit your prediction a day or two before the storm forms, but of course nobody knows when exactly that will be. However, there is a little percentage at the top of the screen which shows the chances of seeing that storm in the next 3 days, which is very helpful. So if that percentage is high, you can click that for a tracking map of that area for more information, and you can make your prediction from there if you feel confident enough. That way you might just win. If this test is successful, Predictor Storm will be rolled out to all Atlantic storms next year, with a decision still pending on whether I'm able to do the service for storms outside of the Atlantic. But I'm certainly hoping so. Another feature that may be interesting for looking back on storms is a very technical storm notability index, which measures how notable a certain storm is based on all its factors. This can be particularly useful to highlight storms such as the recent Hurricane Sandy. Looking at the storm itself, it was a Category 2 storm, and these are very common around the world, of course. What makes Sandy exceptional is the damage and the loss of life, which are all accounted for in the Storm Notability Index, and for that reason there's Sandy, the third most notable storm since 1998. Staying with Sandy, you may have noticed the storm wasn't in the top 100, when perhaps you thought it should have been, and I agree with you. The only reason it wasn't is because I finalised the running order back in September, and there was no time to include Sandy once those storms were finalised. But I would definitely put Sandy in the top 60, perhaps the top 40 for these storms, due to the damage that Sandy caused, which was immense, by the way. Finally, the hypothetical seasons restart on December the 10th, though due to the high demand received in the past, I can't guarantee that all your hypothetical seasons will be created, particularly since I'll also be animating a few more Eastern Pacific hurricane seasons before moving on to some of the Western Pacific hurricane seasons of the past, including this year's as well. So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed Hurricane Week, and that concludes Hurricane Week for this year. Hope to see you around soon.